Welcome to the podcast, fam. Today, we are going to chat a little bit about some steps to land your next healthcare non-clinical role, and specifically healthcare quality, where you can make an impact away from the bedside. I'm going to share an overview of the steps today and talk about what healthcare quality is and just really get you going this year so that you can land the role that really gives you purpose and joy when you go to work. So healthcare quality, as defined by the Institute of Medicine, is the degree to which healthcare services for individuals and populations increase the likelihood of desired health outcomes and are consistent with current professional knowledge. I like to think of healthcare quality as patient-centered care that is safe, equitable, data-driven, and produces desired outcomes. Really, it's about creating a safer healthcare system, because if everyone who has expertise in a clinical way or expert knowledge leaves healthcare, then what healthcare system will we have for generations that come behind us? One of the hardest parts about healthcare is that it is an imperfect system. There's been so much work and research done to improve care, streamline processes, keep patients safe, and yet preventable harm still occurs. And more healthcare workers are leaving the field due to burnout and other reasons. And why does it occur? Why are there still patient falls and wrong site surgeries and medication errors and unintended outcomes? It's not because someone woke up that morning and said, I want to hurt a patient. It's because there are gaps in the process. And so with that burnout and with that, I want to say challenge with how difficult the healthcare system is, people are leaving. But how do we still use our clinical degrees to make a difference that impact the patient without being directly in front of the patient? Being in a role that gives us more flexibility to do other things in life that we want to do, and that works with where we currently are. And so that's why I'm passionate about healthcare quality. And healthcare quality is really an umbrella term that describes all of the different ways that we can keep patients safe, from accreditation to performance improvement, health care technology, population health. There's so many ways to get involved that doesn't involve working directly with patients. And moving into a role like this, or in general, a healthcare, or in general, a non-clinical role, there's a certain path that you need to follow so that it makes sense for you, and so that it's not as frustrating when you're not hearing back from recruiters and you're getting ghosted by some of these companies and you have 50 resumes. There are ways to make things simpler. These steps do not guarantee that you'll get a job next week, right? I just have to be honest and realistic with you about that. But they will give you a plan or a path so that you have a framework by which to base your journey. So here are the 7 steps. Number 1 is define your path. Number 2 is build your network. Number 3 is develop transferable skills. Number 4 is establish your brand. Number 5 is apply for the job. Number 6 is prepare for the interview. And number 7 is accept your new job. So when you define your path, you are taking time to identify the intersection of your passions, your skills, and your strengths. Your passions are those things that you feel joy about doing, those things that get you excited, that fuel you or light you up. Your strengths are your natural gifts and abilities, those things that people come to you for when they have a problem or when they want advice. They come to you for these things. Your strengths are things that you might not even realize are strengths because they're so easy and natural to you. Your skills are those things that you've built over time. You've learned how to do them. And so you're good at them, but you've taken time to learn to do them. And so what happens is, a lot of times when clinicians want to leave direct patient care, they start applying for all these jobs and they don't take a step back to really do some introspective work, maybe take a career assessment, maybe talk to people in different fields to figure out what they would like to do next. So I like to say, run to something instead of running from something. What's going to light you up? What's going to get you excited? Where are your strengths going to work really well to do work that you love, work that matters, work that you're good at, right? Because then it's not going to feel like work every day. Are there going to be hard days? Yes. No job is perfect. No job is going to give you 100% of everything that you ever want, but it's important because we spend so much time at work that we do something that we're going to enjoy doing. So step number 1 is to define your path. Step number 2 is to build your network. So you want to meet people. You want to build connections in a way that is not just transactional, where you're just trying to get something from them, but getting to know people in different roles that you may want to go into, or different industries. And, having a virtual coffee chat, or if you're local, do a local meetup where you can really get to know people. I really like LinkedIn for building your network. I've met some incredible people online and taking it offline. It's a really good place to build meaningful connections. You can get involved in Facebook groups. There are plenty of good non-clinical Facebook groups to get involved with, and you can see what other people have gone through, what their day-to-day life is like, things like that. You can join a professional group. You can also do some local meetups, but really take the time to start building your network, because your next job opportunity is in the hands of someone else. And you never know when that job opportunity is going to come across your LinkedIn feed, or where someone is going to know what you're looking for and say, hey, Brandy said she was interested in this. Let me share this job opportunity with her. Or maybe you cross paths with a recruiter or a hiring manager. But it's really important to really start to build your professional network. Step number 3 is to develop transferable skills. So looking to see how you can transfer your current clinical skills into your next role. So gaining experience, creating a portfolio, volunteering for projects. You're making your boss's life easier by taking something off their plate that you can then use as a skill that you've developed. Upskilling if necessary, which does not mean going back to school, but it could mean a continuing education course. It could mean a webinar, but just developing your skills. And one thing that people forget, so I'm going to mention it here, is that when you start a new project, is to define the before, define the baseline, so that you can see where the project started, and then get an after, so you can see how much impact you made by being a part of that project. And then you can use that very quantifiable metric on your resume. So define the before and after, start building a portfolio of things that you've done, projects, maybe even things that other people don't want to do. When your boss says, hey, I have this project to work with this group or this team, or I need help in this way. Even if it's not something that really lights you up, remember, you're using it to gain experience. You're going to use this on your resume. So you could do it for a short period of time to build those skills. This all sounds great, Brandy, but I need some customized help and a strategy for my career journey. If that's you, book a strategy call with me. I'd love to talk to you. Go to definingpointcc.com/strategy. The strategy call is a 45-minute coaching session designed to get to know you, your journey, and your goals, and create a personalized plan for you to follow. You'll receive a written step-by-step guide after the call. To book, go to definingpointcc.com/strategy. I'll also post the link in the show notes. All right, so step 4 is to establish your brand. So everyone has a personal brand. When you're applying for jobs, believe that the recruiter and your hiring manager are looking for you online. Whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, they are looking for your brand, looking for who you are, because they want to see if you're going to represent their company well. And so we all have a brand, whether we like it or not, or believe it or not. And so we want to be able to control the narrative of that. And so to establish your brand, you want to be mindful of the content that you post online. If there's things you don't want people to see, remember, nothing is ever really private, but you can turn, on some privacy settings on your Facebook page or your Instagram page. But just be mindful that, employers are looking at your brand. Your brand is your professional identity, how you want future employers to see you. It's your professional image. If you're on LinkedIn, as an example, you want a great profile picture, a headshot, and a banner. You want a thoughtful about section. You don't just want to list the tasks that you've done, but really communicate the value. Because when someone's hiring you, they're hiring you to fix a problem that they have, right? So you want them to pay you high dollar, then you need to show why you're worth that to them. And then also in step 4, establishing your brand is creating a resume that converts. So a resume that converts is one that converts to an interview, right? Because a resume's only job is to land you an interview, and employers are only spending about 6 seconds on your resume. So it has to be concise. It has to grab their attention quickly. It has to let them know why they should bring you in for an interview to get to know you better. On that resume, which we'll go into more detail on another podcast episode. And I can also do a resume audit for you. I can put that link in the show notes so you can send me your resume, and I may feature it for a resume audit. But on the resume, you want to highlight those transferable skills that we just talked about. Really, you want to start your resume over. Don't take your clinical resume and make it non-clinical. Start from scratch because it's going to look totally different. You're going to focus less on the types of patient populations you served and more on their impact and those transferable skills that you've developed and how that equates to the role that you're going to be doing next. All right. So step 1, just to recap, is to define your path. Step 2 is to build your network. Step 3 is to develop transferable skills. Step 4 is to establish your brand. Step 5 is to apply for the job. So this is where you actually start putting in your applications. But please note that this is not one of the first steps, because you want to figure out what you want to do next first. Start building those network and connections. Make sure that you have developed the skills that will help translate to your next role. Start thinking about your professional identity online, your online professional identity. And then you apply for the job. So some of the things that I get asked is, how do I get past the ATS system to land an interview? How can I get the hiring manager to see me as more than a clinician? Those are things that we'll get into in more detail. But essentially, it comes down to how your resume is set up and formatted, and if you have properly articulated the value that you're going to bring to this next role. Because again, this company is hiring you to do a job to make something in their company better, right? So they expect for you to have some of the skills ahead of time so that they can pay you the money that you're wanting to get paid. So when you're applying for the job, you can be selective. If you have done the research up front and if you know your path, then you don't need to apply for hundreds of jobs. I really subscribe to the belief that having a signature resume is key, meaning you can use the same resume to apply for multiple jobs because you are applying for similar type roles. Another thing I will say about applying for the job is you can search on LinkedIn and Indeed and these different job search sites, but apply on the company website. That way you're in their system. That way they can send you other jobs that may be relevant. And that way it just gets through faster, in my experience. You want to use keywords from the different job descriptions that you've been using in your research to figure out the types of roles that you would like. And again, I can't stress this enough, but really demonstrate value. How did you make a difference in your past roles, and how will you help the company solve the problem that they're hiring you to solve? All right, so step 6 is to prepare for the interview. Remember that the interview is two-way. They are interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. And having a good interview comes down to practice, practice, practice. And then step number 7 is to accept your new job. Negotiate the pay if you need to negotiate that. Negotiate some of the other benefits. There's more benefits that you can negotiate other than just pay. For example, time off, health benefits, gym memberships, lots of different things that you can negotiate. Sabbaticals. Some companies give discretionary or unlimited time off. Some companies have sign-on bonuses or retention bonuses or performance-based bonuses. So there's lots of things that you can negotiate up front when you're accepting your new job. All right, so think about what step you're on in the process. I'll recap the steps one more time. So step number 1 is to define your path. And remember, it's your path. So it's going to be different than someone else's path. It's going to be unique to you. It's going to be unique to your strengths, passions, and skills. You're going to build your network. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is to develop transferable skills. Step number 4 is to establish your brand. Step number 5 is to apply for the job. Step number 6 is to prepare for the interview. And step number 7 is to apply for to accept your new job. So I'd love to hear what step you are on. You can leave me a comment. You can send me a LinkedIn message. You can connect with me. I'll put some ways to connect with me in the show notes section. But I'd love to hear what step you're on. If you would like a resume audit for me to provide some feedback on your resume, then I'll post that link in the show notes as well. Until next time, be well. We'll talk soon. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. For more career transition goodness, check out the show notes section of the podcast. I'll share all the links you need to connect with me and find the resources that you need.